Last year I moved to LA, and I feel like since then I've been kind of having something of an identity crisis, and it's been a wild last few months, and I feel like everything is changing, and I feel like I'm just trying to figure out who I am in every season of my life, and this season of my life is particularly confusing for so many reasons. Hi, my name is Bailey Tarosian, and I'm going to start making YouTube videos, I guess. I'm partially doing this because I want to kind of document the process of becoming who I want to be. As I said, I moved to Los Angeles last year at the beginning of the school semester, so to speak, because my husband is doing a PhD program out here in California. And it's been just a crazy ride, and it's been such a big change moving from the Cincinnati, Ohio, and Florence, Kentucky, Union, Kentucky kind of area, and it's just been so different in so many ways. When I first got to Los Angeles, I kind of felt like I knew who I was to some extent, but not in its entirety, if that makes sense. I felt like I knew who I wanted to be, but I got out here and I quickly realized that that's not who I wanted to be. And then just living in Los Angeles, I think, gives you some sobering realities about life. And I think I kind of woke up in that moment to just, the way I was thinking and the way that life was going and the way that things might be in reality versus the way they were in my head for how I wanted them to be out here. And so many things have just changed and happened and have been going on, and it's been just crazy. I was really big into looking for a job when we first got to Los Angeles, but that did not go to plan because the job market sucks right now. And my dreams, I don't want to say dreams necessarily, but the idea of working in the corporate world or having a successful career right now just kind of fell to the wayside. And I had to kind of start rationalizing the fact that what I wanted might not be what I got. And that was just a really hard reality. And it really hurt for the first few months out here, just realizing that, the dreams that I had might not necessarily come true. Then a few months after being out here, me and my husband, we got married. We back in Kentucky. It was awesome. And we had, a great time during that, portion of our life. And we were just really happy to be married and to be, kind of starting our married life together. And that was just awesome. But, then there was the idea of having kids, and then that was on the horizon. And at that point, I had already kind of made my peace with just being a stay-at-home wife and kind of taking care of the home or our apartment, or, at the time, 1-bedroom apartment. And now we've upgraded to a 2-bedroom, which is nice. But yeah, just life started taking me down a very different path that I really could not have expected. And that was just crazy. I keep saying that's crazy because when I was younger and in college, I was one of the biggest party girls. I think I was at a party every week or every weekend, maybe even during the weekdays sometimes. My husband, he was his fraternity's president, and then I was in a sorority for the early part of my college days, and then later on I joined a few other social clubs and stuff once I left the sorority for a time being. And I was just very busy with social events all the time and going out. I always had a new outfit for stuff. I was expressing myself via social media, sharing my fashion and my lifestyle and all the fun things that I was doing, and that was great, but that's obviously not who I am now. It's been, I think, 3 years since I graduated from college, and even my last year, my senior year of college, I really wasn't that same person. So it's just been such a big transformation going from, that college girl living that lifestyle to now being a stay-at-home wife and soon-to-be mama and just figuring it out every day. I'm currently 18 weeks pregnant, a little bit further along, almost 19 weeks pregnant now, and oh my gosh, that's been a roller coaster in itself. That's been a whole journey. Me and my husband are so excited, and we couldn't be more grateful because, having kids was always on our agenda. But at the same time, I don't think I realized just how much identity conflict that was going to cause within myself. I feel like, between all the changes that have happened, going from that old lifestyle to this new one, and getting married, and now having a baby on the horizon, and I also just got out of the military last year, and that was a whole thing. And it's just been just a crazy ride, and I feel like I'm kind of at this point where I'm trying to settle, but I don't quite know like who I am enough to like settle quite yet. And so although I'm very happy with where life has taken me and I'm very happy in this moment, I feel like I'm still kind of learning so much and learning so much about myself. I also kind of feel like I'm at this point in my life that is so different than the point in my life in the past, like where I kind of just want to slow down and like live intentionally and enjoy every moment of life, because I feel like this life is so short and every moment that we're given is a gift. And I think so much of my life I have quite literally rushed through it as fast as possible. When I was 17, I, joined the Army through split ops, and I was so eager to get going on a career even though I was in high school. And then when I got to college, I was so eager to do all the things, join all the clubs, join the sorority, get through the classes. I wanted to go to law school at one point, even though I don't want to do that anymore. And I was just always trying to get to the next thing, and I was always rushing. And I think I missed so much beauty because I wasn't able to just slow down and enjoy the process and enjoy all that life had to offer. I think the worst part about, who I was, and then, kind of rationalizing that with who I'm becoming, has been that I have quite literally had to kind of wake up to the fact that I've been just rushing through life and that I've missed so many opportunities. But I feel like I've also kind of had to learn how to stand my ground a bit, and that's very hard for me as somebody who's kind of a people pleaser, I would say. I know how to stand up for myself for the most part, but it can be hard at times, especially when you're living a life that is so different than the life that you promised yourself you were gonna live back when you were younger. And although I'm so grateful with the life I have now, I feel like I almost find myself defending the lifestyle that I'm living now to other people. I've had a lot of people kind of comment on the fact that I want to be a stay-at-home wife and mom and maybe teach part-time eventually. I'm getting my master's in fine arts, so I should be able to teach eventually. But just kind of living this slower, more like, not productive life necessarily. I feel like people just get uncomfortable when you talk about that. And so that's been really hard for me, because it's like I want to go out, I want to be social, but there's kind of this culture, it seems like, in Los Angeles where everybody is just all about productivity, everybody's hustling, and I'm just not that person anymore. I can't pretend that I am that person. And I'm honestly just really happy with taking life slow, because it's like, again, these moments you can never get back. On a different topic, something else that I have been struggling with recently has been the fact that while I've been pregnant, I've been trying to rationalize again who I am, who I was as like a fun, single party girl versus this married mother who is kind of stepping into this new phase of her life. And that's just really crazy because, I know it's happened over the course of many years, but it all seems like it's happening so fast. And there's a lot of beauty in that, but there's some parts of my identity that I'm not sure, how to balance. Like, I still want to have friends and have a social life, but I also want to have a child, and I want to, have a good relationship with my husband, and I want to, kind of be that family woman, because I really love my family, and that's the most important thing to me. So it's kind of like, how do I balance that? But also, how do I balance, my changing body right now? That's a huge thing for me that I've been struggling with, and how I dress and how I, kind of show myself off to the world. Like, how does that all work? I feel like so many women, when they have kids, they kind of feel siloed into like a certain mold or model of what that's supposed to look like. And I think women nowadays are doing such a great job of kind of stepping out of that zone and just being really confident in the fact that they can be both a high achieving woman and a very empowered woman, but also be a mother and a wife. And I think that that's really cool. And so I want to be that person in my future. I want to step into that role as I go through this process of, just being in the first year of my marriage, and also, being pregnant right now. I want to feel confident, and I don't want to start dressing as I'm super matronly yet. I'm still so young, and I, want to dress and feel my best. And I think that, if I'm to silo myself into a mold, that's just not going to be who I am. And I'm going to feel really sad about that and not so happy. And I don't know. I know it might seem like I'm just venting and I'm all over the place, but so often when I try to make videos like this, I try to stay very rigid and on schedule with things, and it just never goes well. I have ADHD and I'm just somebody who's all over the place, but I wanted to come on here and just share some of my thoughts because life has been crazy, like I said, lately. And so many beautiful things are happening, and I feel like I'm starting to bloom into the person that I want to be and the person that I'm becoming. And I don't know, I want to kind of document the process. So if you're interested in that, then hang around. We are going to be going on this journey together. I'm going to try to make a little video every day if possible, but I know that might not be possible all days, especially because me and my husband have some travel coming up next month. And there's just certain days where I'm tired, so I have to give myself some breaks and some peace as well. But if you're interested in following along on my journey where I will be discovering who I am, I would be so appreciative. And if you'd like to connect outside of YouTube, you can go ahead and follow me over at on Instagram at Bailey_Tarosian. I would love to connect. I love meeting new people. I love talking. I love building community, and I would love to meet some other women who are going through the same thing that I'm going through, because man, oh man, it's hard, and it's especially hard when you don't know anybody in this phase of your life. So feel free to hop on over there and we can start up a discussion, and I would love to chat. So yeah.